Chapter 11. The Cost of Freedom. The White House, West Wing, Oval Office, Washington, D.C. 4:42 p.m. The late afternoon sun poured in through the towering windows of the Oval Office, casting long golden streaks across the plush carpet. Emily Morgan sat motionless across from her father, the President of the United States, in the same room where leaders had declared wars and signed peace. Now it felt more like a courtroom, one with no jury, just a verdict waiting to be handed down. President Morgan, usually composed and statesmanlike, rubbed his temples as he leaned forward on the edge of his desk. For the first time in years, he looked less like the leader of the free world and more like a man, aging, burdened, and cornered by the reality of his daughter's choices. "I need you to understand something, Emily," he said finally, voice low but firm. "This isn't about optics anymore. It's about legacy, duty, and danger." Emily folded her arms. Danger? Because I fell in love with someone who sleeps under the stars instead of under chandeliers? "It's not just that," her mother interjected, standing near the fireplace in a tight-lipped posture of concern. "It's what it represents. This rebellion. It affects the entire administration." Emily stood. "So that's it, huh? I'm not a daughter anymore. I'm a billboard." President Morgan stood too, slowly. "You were never just a daughter, Emily. You were the daughter, first daughter. A symbol to this nation whether you asked to be or not." The silence that followed was thick. Emily's heart pounded against her chest like it wanted to run out ahead of her. She turned to the window, staring beyond the rose garden where she had once played tag with Secret Service agents as a child. The same garden where Nathan had given her a daisy with shaking hands. "Then take it," she said quietly. Her father's brow furrowed. "Take what?" "The title, the press, the bulletproof glass, the cages wrapped in lace." "Take all of it," she said, spinning around. Her voice no longer wavered. "I don't want it anymore. I refuse to live a life I don't recognize just because the cameras like it better." "Emily," her mother warned, stepping forward. "No," Emily said. "You want to talk about symbols? Then let's talk. Because right now, the first daughter is falling in love with a homeless man who sees her, not her headlines. And maybe, just maybe, that's the story America needs right now." President Morgan clenched his jaw, his lips parting slowly as if forming words he never thought he'd say. "If you walk down this path, Emily, you will no longer be the first daughter." She blinked. "Is that a threat or liberation?" "It's a truth," he said softly. "One I didn't want to face, but if you choose him, Nathan, you'll have to relinquish everything that comes with this role. The protection, the position, the privilege. You'll live as Emily Morgan, just Emily. No more Secret Service escorts, no state dinners, no staff, no media filtering your life. You'll be a private citizen." Emily felt the ground tilt beneath her for a moment. It wasn't that she hadn't expected this, she had. But hearing it out loud, hearing that the door to her entire life was closing behind her, it made it real. "What about college?" she asked. "My education?" "That we can support," her mother said carefully. "From a distance, but no more using government resources. You'll no longer represent the administration, nor the American family. You'll be free, but alone." Emily nodded slowly. "Good." "Are you sure?" her father asked. His voice had cracked just enough for her to notice. Emily looked at him, not as a president, but as a man who had raised her, walked her down the marble halls of the White House, taught her to ride a bike on the South Lawn. A man who once tucked her in with bedtime stories and now guarded nuclear codes. "I'm sure," she said. There was a long pause. Then the President of the United States walked slowly to a drawer and took out a cream-colored folder. He opened it, revealing a simple one-page document. A formal declaration of release, he said. Just a formality, but it makes everything official. Emily stepped forward, picked up the pen that bore the presidential seal, and signed her name at the bottom without trembling. Her mother looked away. Her father exhaled, folding the document neatly before placing it back in the folder. Then he looked up at her, eyes filled with something she hadn't seen since childhood. Heartbreak. "You'll always be my daughter," he said, voice thick. Emily gave him a gentle smile. "Just not the country's anymore." Then she turned and walked out of the Oval Office. No motorcade waited for her. No aide held her coat. For the first time in her life, she opened the heavy West Wing door by herself and stepped outside into the evening air. The sky was changing, purples swallowing blues, the last rays of sunlight melting behind the Capitol dome. Freedom smelled like fresh-cut grass and uncertainty. And just beyond the iron gates, leaning against a park bench beneath a flickering street lamp, stood Nathan. He looked up and saw her walking toward him, not in heels or pearls, but in sneakers and a windbreaker. Not as the first daughter, but as Emily. He smiled. She smiled back. And in that instant, the most powerful girl in America became just a girl in love, with nothing to her name but her name itself. And that was more than enough. End of chapter 11.
If this video sparked your interest, taught you something new, or simply made your day better, go ahead and hit that like button. And if you never want to miss out on content like this, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications. Your support helps us grow and keeps the content coming.